Hey, I seen as much as anybody in the world. I seen guys come out of airplanes with no parachute or nothing else on, and the airplane on fire, you know. I was up there above Frankfurt one time, and one of those 262 jets come up on my tail. I was shooting at him, and down he went. Here come 109 across my tail within 50, 60 feet from him, waved at me. One of the Germans. I waved back at him. Of course, he saved my life, so I let him off the hook.
The Tri-State Warbird Museum has been in existence for approximately 10 years. It was started as a way to honor and give a memorial to our World War II veterans, especially those who served in the air. And also the secondary mission is one of education.
We escort groups around and explain the different aircraft to those individuals. Try to answer as many questions as we can. If one of us doesn't know the answer, we have people here that do know the answer.
The airplanes are important not in and of themselves. The airplanes are important as artifacts.
That P-40 over there came out of New Zealand, and the #1 ace in New Zealand flew that airplane. This Mustang back behind me had a lot to do with really bringing the war to an end. They changed engines, and the engine produced 50 mile an hour faster, and therefore they were able to escort the bombers all the way to Germany and back.
These were the tools that were used by our men and women to preserve what we have and essentially to allow us to have the conversation we're having right now.
Radar, that was my business, radar observer on B-29s primarily. And the main reason for that was that they were interested in more B-29s getting ready in case we had to invade Japan.
The airplanes really came from many, many different sources.
Some of them actually were rotting in junkyards at the time they were found. Some of them were also working airplanes, like our TBM Avenger was a Bore 8 firebomber. It was bought surplus after the war and used to fight forest fires.
The restoration is a big part of our job here, and there are 4 full-time employees restoring right at the present time the P-40, and it should be flying in a few months.
The Corsair was actually the original one we had here that had needed a full restoration right from the get-go. It was basically purchased from a rotting hulk that was just left sitting derelict. That project, even in the condition it is now, we're looking at another 5+ years to get that because of how much work has to be done.
One of the airplanes, the P-51 Mustang, was in South America and literally falling to bits, and it was imported into this country, restored, now flies, and is now really the queen of the museum's fleet.
Aircraft like our Focke-Wulf 190 is basically built up from just a very tiny amount of original parts, and then everything else has to be built up from blueprint plans. You can't just go out to the Focke-Wulf 190 store and get you a side panel or a cowling piece. They just aren't there. Much of the skin of various aircraft have to be replaced. There cannot be a speck of corrosion on aluminum, a speck of rust on anything non-aluminum. If it can't be blasted and finished without those flaws, it will be replaced.
There was a flashlight found in one of the airplanes. It had dropped into an area which was totally inaccessible. As we were taking the airplane apart, here was the flashlight, and the batteries had corroded, eaten through the flashlight, and it started eating some of the aluminum skin in the airplane. Things like that, you don't see that at your average airplane museum because they just don't have the restoration being shown up close and personal.
And it's a really proud thing to represent the museum with the quality of workmanship that you see out there.
And you come out here for the airplanes, you stay for the people, the veterans that we have, the other volunteers, and quite frankly, the guests that come through, many of whom have stories and little artifacts that are always fun and interesting.
I was stationed in Thorpe Abbott, England, 90 miles north of London. And I was with the 100th Bomb Group over there, most notorious group in the European theater of operation. Our bomb group alone lost 883 men and 229 B-17s.
And we took off for the South Pacific. Spent 2 years out there running back and forth, taking healthy guys down and bringing pieces back. And it wasn't too pleasant. They deserve all the credit they should have.
They flew the crap out of us. They was losing so many crews, you know. They had you in the air all the time.
One of our favorite people, Tom Griffin, was navigator on a B-25, which flew off the aircraft carrier Hornet and bombed Japan in April of 1942. It was called the Doolittle Raid. 80 guys took off in 16 airplanes, and only 7 of them are alive to this day. And one of them is Tom Griffin, one of our favorite people.
You know, you're right up next to the kind of airplanes that really won the war, helped win the war. The very idea that these planes still fly is just awesome.
And it's really a way to honor the veterans, honor those who have given service to our country, and to educate the younger people who, quite frankly, really don't know anymore very much about the Second World War.
I would tell everybody that I went to see Hitler 35 times, and the jackass kept moving, never left the forwarding address, but we caught up with him. Because like I said, I got 35 missions up in that air. I got over 3,000 hours in the tail end of a B-17. That's why I got crappy knees. Because when you sit with a tail gun, you're like this, you know. I had a mechanic's cap, and I used to take it off and lay it down by my leg. When I come back off of a bomb run, I'd pick it up, put it on. Picked it up one day, and the whole bill was shot off of it. I said, oh, God, I'm glad my head wasn't in that thing. Anyway.
Well, I'll tell you, there were no heroes in that war, and that was our finest hour, I guess. That's changed the whole world.